Rain Carter moved to the ruins of the old alien station. The sky above the moon was dark, filled with broken stars and floating metal pieces. His boots crunched on dry dust as he searched for anything worth taking. He was tired, cold, and running out of oxygen. But this was his job, to search the dead places for scrap and hope something didn't kill him. He was alone, as always. No one came this far into space unless they were desperate. Rain was. His scanner beeped, showing small signs of old energy. He turned left, into a half-broken hall filled with fallen wires and black walls. Then he heard something, a whisper soft and strange. "Wash me clean, human." Rain froze. He looked around, nothing but dust. Shadows and broken machines. He thought maybe it was his radio, but the channel was empty. He moved forward slowly, then the scanner beeped louder. There was something under the floor. He dropped to one knee, brushed away the thick dirt. His fingers touched cold metal. He uncovered a glass window, cracked but not broken. Inside, he saw her, a woman, or something close to one. She had silver blue skin, long white hair floating in thick liquid. She was still, eyes closed, but not dead. She was beautiful, even in this state. But something was wrong. Her skin looked damaged, like it was burning slowly, and the liquid around her was dark and sticky. Then the voice came again. Not through the air, but inside his mind. "Save me from my filth." Rain jumped back, heart racing. He had never heard anything like that before. He wasn't psychic, and his helmet was sealed. How did the voice get in? He looked at her again. The pod was leaking, small drops of black fluid dripping into the ground. Whatever that stuff was, it was hurting her. He could leave right now, sell the location to a collector and make good money. Or he could open it, and maybe die. The voice came one more time, softer than before. "Please. I beg you." Rain sighed, then shook his head. "Damn it," he said to himself. He pulled out his toolkit, started working on the pod's lock system. It was old tech alien, but not too different from the kind humans stole and studied over the years. The pod hissed, clicked, then slowly opened. A blast of cold, dark air hit his face. Rain stepped back, coughing. The woman inside began to move, weak and slow. Her hand reached out, not to attack, but to touch the light. Rain helped her out, careful not to touch the black fluid. She fell into his arms, shaking, barely breathing. He laid her down on a clean tarp, looked at her face. Her eyes were still closed, but tears were coming down. "You're safe now," Rain said. Not sure why. He didn't know who she was, what she was, or what kind of danger. He just woke up. Then her eyes opened. They were bright white, glowing like two small stars. She looked at him deeply. Then everything went dark. The light around the station flickered. Rain's visor shut down. His heart pounded. He reached for his sidearm, but he couldn't move. His body felt heavy, frozen. The last thing he saw was her lips moving. One word in his mind, clear and sharp. "Thank you," then silence. Rain was not standing. He was not lying down either. He was just floating, but he wasn't in space. He wasn't in his body. He was inside a memory, and it wasn't his. He looked around. The sky above was not black, but purple, swirling like a storm. Towers of glass and silver reached into the clouds, and flying creatures soared between them. It was beautiful, alive, and terrifying at the same time. Rain turned and saw her. The same woman from the pod, only now she was standing tall, glowing with strength. She wore silver armor, her white hair flowing like smoke in the wind. Behind her, thousands bowed. She was a queen. Then, fire. The towers cracked, the skies turned red. Screams echoed through the air, and shadows began falling from the sky. He saw her drop to her knees, covered in black oil, crying as her people burned. The dream shattered. Rain opened his eyes with a gasp. He was back inside the alien station, lying on the ground. But his body felt different, like something had passed through him. The woman was gone. Her pod, now empty and melted from the inside. Black streaks of fluid covered the floor. Moving slowly like they were alive, he sat up, breathing heavy. His radio was dead, his scanner fried. Everything electronic had shorted out. "Hello?" He called out, voice echoing through the dead hallway. Nothing then, a whisper, soft as smoke. "Do not follow," but of course he did. Rain picked up his small flashlight and moved through the ruins. He followed the black stains, long trails of slime that glowed faintly in the dark. The trail led deeper, through rusted doors and broken walls. The deeper he went, the warmer the air became. He found strange carvings on the walls, old alien writing. Burned deep into the metal, he couldn't read them. But one symbol kept repeating, a circle, with something black crawling out of it. He didn't like it. Then he heard it, not a voice this time, but singing, a low, haunting melody, echoing like it came from far underwater. He followed it, step by step. The light flickered, his flashlight buzzed, then died total darkness. Then her voice again, this time clear and near. "You should not have opened it." Rain spun around. She was standing a few meters away, barefoot, her silver skin now marked with black veins. Her eyes glowed less than before, but her face still held something powerful, sadness. He stepped closer. "What are you?" he asked. She smiled weakly. "I was a ruler once," she said. "Now I am Filth." Rain shook his head. "No, you were trapped." She nodded, slowly. "Yes, trapped by my own people. Because of what I carry." She raised her arm, showed the black veins moving just under her skin like worms. "This is not poison," she whispered. "It is memory, hunger, madness." Rain stepped back, heart racing. "Is it inside me now too?" he asked. She looked down, then nodded. "A little," she said. "But it is not too late." "Not yet." Rain clenched his fists. "Why call me? Why ask me to save you?" "Because only humans are untouched," she replied. "Your kind is still new, still strong." She walked closer. Her body was shaking, barely holding together. "You can help me burn it out, or it will spread and your earth will become like mine." Then the ground shook. A loud sound, like a deep heartbeat, echoed through the chamber. The black stains on the walls began to bubble and crawl. Her eyes widened. "It has awakened," she whispered. "We have little time." Rain looked around, pulse racing. "What is it?" he asked. "The core," she said. "A god of rot and shadow, locked beneath this station." She pointed to the floor. "It sleeps under your feet." Then she looked at him with sadness. "And I am the key." The first thing Rain saw was blood, not his. It was floating in the air, a thin red mist, weightless, glowing faintly in the dark. He blinked, reached out, but his hand passed right through it. The blood wasn't real. It was a vision, a warning. Then the mist vanished. Rain stood in a narrow hallway, deeper inside the alien station than he'd ever planned to go. Everything was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that made your skin crawl. The walls were no longer metal. They were pulsing, soft, breathing, like the station had turned alive. He reached for his scanner, but it was dead. His helmet HUD was flickering, showing strange symbols he didn't recognize. Then, a sound not loud, but sharp. Footsteps. He turned around fast, raised his light. Nothing. But the dust on the floor told the truth. Fresh footprints. Not one set, two. One was his own, leading to this place. The second set started from behind him. Someone, or something, was following him. He didn't speak, just moved forward, slower now. Each step felt heavier, like the air was thickening. Then he saw her again, Solari. She was standing in a wide chamber, staring at something on the wall. Her body looked worse, skin cracked, glowing veins exposed, but her posture was still proud. Rain walked closer, careful. She didn't turn to look at him, just spoke softly. "Do you know why they sealed me away?" Rain stayed silent. Solari raised her hand, touched a strange symbol on the wall, a triangle inside a circle. The metal rippled like water, and an image appeared. He saw her people. The Valari, marching in war, burning cities, destroying planets. But they weren't the monsters. They were running from something. From the core, a massive black shape, endless in form, devouring ships, mines, even time. It was alive and it enjoyed suffering. They used me, Solari said, voice cold. I was supposed to contain the infection. Be the prison. She looked at him now, eyes dim but sharp. But I failed. Rain stared at the wall, mind spinning. He understood now. She wasn't the villain. She was the battlefield. Why did you call me? He asked. Because you don't carry the echo, she replied. You're human, and humans are untouched by the Corps' song. Rain shook his head. This thing. It's still alive? Yes, she said. And now it's waking up. A low rumble rolled through the floor. The walls around them pulsed faster, and from the dark hall behind them came a sound Rain had never heard before, a wet, crawling noise. Like thousands of legs dragging across glass, Rain raised his light, heart pounding. Shadows moved, fast and low, not one creature, but many, small, black things with glowing red eyes. Solari stepped forward, raised her hand. A wave of silver energy burst from her palm, blasting the shadows back. But it drained her. She fell to her knees. Gasping, Rain ran to her, helped her up. We need to leave, he said. There is no leaving, she whispered. Not until it's done. He pulled her arm over his shoulder, guided her into a side tunnel as they moved. He saw more signs, carvings from dozens of alien languages, all saying the same warning. Do not wake the CO. They entered a chamber filled with old machines, still humming with weak power. Solari touched one, and a soft light filled the room. The machines showed a map, a massive underground vault beneath the station. That's where it sleeps, she said, pointing. But something has changed. Something is calling it. Rain looked at her. You mean me? She stared at him in silence, then nodded. Maybe. He didn't like the answer. But he was starting to understand the truth. He wasn't just a bystander anymore. The moment he opened that pod, everything changed. And whatever was waiting down below, it wasn't going to stay asleep for long. The whisper came from inside Rain's own head. But it wasn't Solari. And it wasn't his own thoughts either. It was something else. Something ancient. Something hungry. I see you now, little light. Rain clutched his skull, dropping to one knee. His vision blurred, not from pain, but from pressure. Like something was pushing its way into him. Solari grabbed his shoulder, her skin now glowing faint silver again. Her voice was sharp and urgent. It has noticed you. Rain looked up, eyes wide. The Corps? She nodded. It was dreaming before, lost in sleep, but now it's tasting you. Rain stood, shaking. Why me? I'm just a scavenger. You're more than that, she said, voice low. You carry something it doesn't understand, something human. Before he could ask more, the ground beneath them groaned like a dying beast. Then a long, slow tear opened in the floor, not cracked metal, but melted. Something was digging up, or reaching out. We have to go down, Solari said. Rain stared at her, shocked. Toward that thing? Are you serious? If we don't reach it first, she said, it will rise to the surface, and then your Earth dies screaming. They climbed into a lift, old alien tech, barely functional. Solari placed her hand on the control pad, her blood activating the mechanism. The platform shuddered and began to descend. As they dropped deeper, the walls changed. Metal turned to black stone, etched with moving runes. Strange lights floated around them, like ghost fire trapped in bubbles. Rain felt cold, even through his suit. But it wasn't temperature, it was fear, real, primal fear crawling under his skin. What is this place? He whispered. A prison, Solari said. But not for me. Then the platform stopped. The chamber ahead was massive, wider than a city block, and in the center, the black core, a sphere the size of a building, floating silently above a pit of swirling shadow. It didn't move, didn't shine, but it watched. Rain couldn't see eyes, but he knew it was looking at him. Solari stepped forward, her voice calm but sharp. Do not speak to it. Why? Rain asked, voice low. Because it will lie, she said. And worse, it will make sense. But it was too late. A voice, smooth and deep, filled the chamber. Not loud, more like a gentle whisper inside both their minds. Child of fire and dust. Why do you fight? Rain's knees buckled again, but he stayed up. Solari stood firm, energy pulsing from her hands, creating a silver barrier between them and the core. The voice continued. I offer peace. Purpose. No more war, no more death, only unity. Rain shook his head. I've seen what you call unity, he said. Burned cities, dead planets, silence everywhere. The core's voice darkened. And who gave your kind permission to survive? You are dirt that walks, sparks pretending to be suns. Rain took a step forward. Maybe we are, he said, but we're ourselves. Suddenly, the shadows around the pit burst upward, forming shapes, black humanoid forms. Half melted and screaming, they charged. Solari pushed Rain behind her, then threw out both hands. A blast of silver energy filled the room, burning the shadow forms into ash. But more came, crawling from every wall. Rain grabbed a dropped alien blade, half sword, half light. It responded to his touch. Humming with white fire, he fought beside her, cutting down the creatures as they came. Each swing of the blade felt natural, like it belonged to him. After what felt like hours, the shadows stopped. The room was silent again. Rain's chest was heaving. Suit torn, eyes wide. He looked at Solari. Why aren't we dead? Because it's testing you, she said. And maybe. It's afraid. Rain stared at the core. For the first time it pulsed, like a heartbeat. Slow and heavy. Then a single thought filled his mind, clear and cold. You will break. Rain Carter was back on Earth. Or at least, it looked like Earth. He stood in his old garage. The one he'd grown up working in with his father. Rust on the tool cabinets, oil on the floor, the smell of hot metal in the air. Everything was exactly how he remembered it. But something was wrong. His father stood at the workbench, head down, not moving. Rain walked over, hand shaking. Dad? He asked. The man turned, but it wasn't his father. The face was his, an older version of himself. Same eyes, same scar, same jaw, but hollow, broken. The figure leaned forward and whispered, You don't belong to Earth. Rain stumbled back, heart pounding. The garage flickered, like a dying screen, and then, gone. He stood in the chamber again. Underground, near the core, sweat covered his skin. His blade was gone, his breath heavy. He dropped to his knees, confused. What was that? He gasped. Solari knelt beside him, her voice soft. It has begun. Rain looked at her, eyes wild. What has begun? The trial, she said. The core is inside your mind now, showing you fragments of truth, twisted by fear. Rain wiped his face. So it's just illusion? Solari shook her head. No, she whispered. Not illusion, just unfiltered memory. The walls around them began to melt, shift. Rain blinked, and now he was in a desert. Red sand, burning sun, endless dunes. He walked for what felt like hours, but there was no sound. No wind, no life, just one thing. Far ahead, a tall stone carved with strange symbols. He touched it, and suddenly he remembered. Not something from his life, something before his life. A lab, alien machines. A group of figures in silver armor, standing around a glowing pod. Inside it, a baby, him. Rain stumbled back, gasping. No, he said. That's not real. But the vision wouldn't fade. He saw Earth from space, not as a planet to live on, but as a seed. His seed, planted by the Valari. Long ago, a last hope, in case the core ever broke free. Rain was never just a scavenger. He was designed. A human face with ancient blood. A vessel made to resist the core. Built to carry light into the deepest dark. The vision shattered again. Rain dropped into a dark stone corridor. His knees hit the ground hard, and blood ran from his nose. He looked up, and saw Solari standing ahead of him, her body half glowing, half corrupted. Her face was full of pain, but her eyes still sharp. You see now, she said. You were not called by chance. Rain stood slowly, hands shaking. You should have told me, he said, voice low. I didn't ask for this. No one ever does, she replied. but you're the only one who can stand against it." Behind her, the air tore open, a black spiral forming in the void. The core was trying to break through, trying to pull them in. "Make a choice, Rain," she said. "Run and Earth dies, or walk into that spiral and become what you were made to be." Rain looked at the spiral. It pulsed like a heart, whispering dark promises. Then he looked at her, at what she'd become, at what she gave up to survive. He stepped forward, one step, then another. The spiral opened wider. Swallowing the light, Rain turned his head, looked back at Silari. "Come with me," he said. She shook her head. "I'm already fading," she said. "But you're still whole." The shadows grabbed him, pulling him in. Rain didn't scream, didn't fight. He let go. And the darkness welcomed him. Rain opened his eyes. But they weren't his eyes anymore. The world around him was not light. It was information, raw, flowing data. Heat, sound, movement, thought, all visible, all layered on top of each other like smoke. He could see the heartbeat of the chamber. He could hear the whispers of metal. He could feel the fear in the stone itself. He touched the ground, and the ground pulled away. His hand left a print of glowing light. His veins now shimmered with white fire. Not blood, not circuits, something new. Rain Carter had died in the dark. What stood now was not just human. It was the answer. From the shadows, the core pulsed. Slower now. Its presence was still vast, but for the first time, it hesitated. Silari stood nearby, her body barely holding form, energy dripping from her skin like smoke. She looked at him and smiled. "You burned through it," she said, her voice weak but proud. "I didn't think you could," Rain spoke. But his voice echoed in layers. One human, one alien, one something else entirely. "Neither did I." He looked at his own reflection in the broken glass of the nearby wall. His face was still his, but sharpened. Eyes glowing faint white, like distant stars. His skin marked with faint lines of light, not scars, but circuitry grown from within. Silari stepped closer, trembling. "You're the bridge," she said. "Human thought, Velari design, core resistant." Rain nodded. "I remember now," he said. "The dreams, the whispers. They weren't trying to break me. They were trying to wake me." The core pulsed again, louder, and then it spoke. "You are flawed, half-born," it said. "You are not light. You are glitch." Rain walked forward, calm. He didn't draw a weapon. He was the weapon now. "I am the reason you were locked away," he said. "I'm the fail-safe your kind feared." The wall shook. Black tendrils burst from the ceiling, slamming down. Rain raised his hand, and the tendrils burned before they touched him. Not with fire, with memory. He was using his mind now as a weapon, replaying trauma, grief, loss, and turning it against the core's reach. Each tendril that touched his energy recoiled, screaming in a voice only silence could hear. Silari dropped to one knee, fading fast. "You need to end it," she said. "Before it calls more of itself." Rain nodded. He walked to the center of the chamber, where the black core hovered, a massive, humming sphere of raw anti-thought. He didn't attack it. He opened himself. His hands stretched outward, and light poured from his body. Not heat, not power, but identity. He showed the core everything, his childhood, his struggles, the loneliness, the stubbornness, the hope. He refused to be rewritten. The core screamed. The chamber cracked. Rain's voice thundered. "You are not a god," he said. "You are a parasite." The core began to collapse inward. Its structure couldn't hold under Rain's will. And then, silence. Not peace, not death. Just silence. The core was gone, vaporized, rejected, erased from the code of the universe. Rain stood still, glowing softly. He turned to Silari, who now lay on the floor, fading like dust in the wind. Her voice was barely a whisper. You changed the story," she said. "You gave it an ending it never saw coming." Rain knelt beside her. "You gave me the chance," he said. "I just used it." She reached out. Fingers trembling, touched his chest. A small spark passed between them, and then she was gone. No scream, no burst, just a quiet fading, like a light that had finally been cleaned. Rain stood alone now, no longer scavenger, no longer pawn. He was something new, and the galaxy would feel it. It began with a radio glitch. A small Earth station on the edge of Mars' orbit picked up a broken signal. Nothing clear, just static, mixed with what sounded like a heartbeat. Then a voice, soft, steady, unmistakably human. "I am Rain Carter. The core is gone. Remember us," the message repeated once, then stopped, across space. Scientists scrambled, satellites spun, governments listened. But the signal didn't come from any known source. It came from below, from the forgotten moon where no life had been recorded in decades. They sent probes, but the moon was quiet. Dead again, no ruins, no bodies, no energy signatures, except one. A single mark carved into the surface near the old alien site, glowing faintly with white light. A circle, surrounding a human handprint, far beyond, in a part of space no human had ever touched. Something moved, not a ship, not a being, but a presence. It shimmered like memory, it pulsed like hope, it carried no body. But it was still Rain. He had not died, not truly. He had shed what couldn't follow. What remained was his will, and it was watching. He saw Earth from the far edge of space, not as a home, but as a promise. He remembered the dirt on his boots, the cold air, the quiet voices on the scavenger radios. He remembered Solari, her pain, her strength, her last words. "You changed the story," she was right. He had not destroyed the core with violence. He had broken it with truth. And now, his truth echoed across the dark. Waking old machines, silent satellites, hidden archives built by ancient hands. The stars were listening again. The Valari legacy had not ended. It had passed into human hands. On Earth, stories began to spread. People who never knew Rain dreamed of him. Children drew glowing men in the sky. Whispers in orbit control centers claimed to hear breathing behind dead channels. And one night, without warning, a streak of light crossed the sky. Low, bright, and slow. Not a comet, not debris, but something watching, something guarding. In a quiet part of Earth, a young engineer sat alone at a radio. Her screen flickered once, then words appeared. One line only, "Wash me clean." Human. She stared at the screen, confused, then smiled. For reasons she couldn't explain. "It just felt right," she typed back. "We will." The signal faded. But the stars seemed a little closer that night. Rain Carter had vanished from history, but not from legend. His name lived in strange echoes, in satellite code, in quiet dreams. Not as a hero, not as a god, but as a reminder that even the smallest voice, even the dirtiest hands, could hold the power to change the dark. The core was gone, but the light was still out there, watching, waiting, and ready, always ready.